Welcome to the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities web module series. This series of web modules was developed by the SELPA System Improvement Leads. The purpose of the SELPA System Improvement Lead project is to work collaboratively within the statewide system of support to build the capacity of special education local plan areas, SELPAs, and local education agencies, LEAs, with a common goal to improve outcomes for students with disabilities. In Module 4 of the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities web module series, we will continue from Module 3 by exploring the next three phases of the improvement process: launch, reflect, and adjust. The Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Handbook was created in partnership by El Dorado County Office of Education and Sacramento County Office of Education for publication by the California County Superintendent's Educational Services Association, also known as SESESA. The handbook provides resources and guidance for leadership teams supporting school staff to understand the California School Dashboard and use the data presented on the dashboard to make adjustments to programs and services for students with disabilities within an improvement process. The Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Handbook is divided into four sections. Section 1, California's Accountability System. Section 2, Support for Students with Disabilities. Section 3, Improvement. And Section 4, Toolkit. A downloadable copy of the handbook is attached to this module for reference. The guidance in the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Handbook was based on 6 guiding principles taken from known effective program elements necessary for students with disabilities and a recent 2015 statewide task force report on special education named One System, Reforming Education to Serve All Students. The task force report can be found on the San Mateo County Office of Education website at www.smcoe.org. The 6 guiding principles are: number 1, general education and special education work together seamlessly as one coherent system. Number 2, educational programs are organized within the context of a multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS framework, to ensure academic and behavioral supports are provided for all students. Number 3, instructional programs incorporate high-quality, standards-aligned, evidence-based practices and the use of principles of universal design for learning, UDL. Number 4, data systems are integrated to combine relevant information from state and local assessments, including formative and summative data, universal screening measures, and anecdotal observations from parents and teachers. Number 5, site-based teams monitor progress, identify interventions, and adapt instructional practices and behavioral supports to promote success for all students using evidence-based systems of inquiry. And number 6, programs are culturally and linguistically responsive. The ideas from these principles form the foundation of the handbook, which will be further explored through this web module series. 4 separate web modules have been created to assist schools in gaining a deeper understanding of the contents within the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Handbook. The 4 web modules are: Module 1, California's Accountability System; Module 2, Support for Students with Disabilities; Module 3, Improvement Process Part 1, Prepare; and Module 4, Improvement Process Part 2, Launch, Reflect, and Adjust. In the current module, Module 4, we will continue our review of the improvement process by examining the launch, reflect, and adjust phases. To review, Module 3 explored the prepare stage of an improvement process. More specifically, Module 3 reviewed features of planning and improvement processes, types of local education agencies, LEAs, and school-level plans, guidance for improvement teams, use of data, analysis, planning, and improvement, overview of developing a problem statement, tools for completing a root cause analysis, and questions for identifying evidence-based programs and practices. For more information on the Prepare stage, please view the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities web Module 3. The current module will continue the improvement process by examining the launch, reflect, and adjust phases. Within this module, exploration of each phase will include an overview, elements of the phase, and questions to guide discussion. Let's continue the discussion from Module 3 by reviewing the launch phase. Within the launch phase, the hard work completed by the improvement team in the prepare phase is put into action. The degree to which an improvement plan is launched with fidelity links directly to its overall success and effectiveness. A significant gap exists between identifying evidence-based practices and programs and systematic and effective implementation, or launch. During the initial implementation phase, lesson delivery may be awkward. However, as implementation progresses, the evidence-based practices become more refined and begin to positively impact student performance. The role of the improvement team is to provide structures to bridge the implementation gap. This is accomplished by ensuring that all staff using the evidence-based practices have the necessary training, coaching, and internal structures in place to make the evidence-based practices teachable, learnable, and accessible. Launching an evidence-based practice with fidelity requires time and intentional planning. In order to monitor the intervention, it is recommended that the implementation team collect evidence to monitor quality and degree of implementation, consider possible barriers to implementation and plans to address barriers or possible alternatives, develop rationale for actions to be taken, and create and monitor implementation timelines. The implementation team will then identify the key elements for success and assign roles and responsibilities which answer the questions: who will do what and by when? As stated previously, it is important to identify procedures for monitoring the implementation and effectiveness of the improvement at predetermined intervals such as bi-monthly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. Improvement teams might consider whether a specific action is implemented as planned, whether it is producing the desired results, and if adjustments need to be made along the way. The following questions may be used to develop tools and processes for monitoring improvement plans. When and how often will the plan be monitored for implementation? Who will monitor the implementation of the plan? What evidence will be collected to document implementation? What documentation protocols will be used? How and when will the results of the plan be reported? What is the communication plan for sharing information and results with stakeholders? How will adjustments be made during the implementation of the plan? How will the individuals implementing the plan be supported? This slide provides an example of an implementation planner which can be used to document agreements and roles and responsibilities throughout the launch phase. This implementation planner guides teams to not only designate the specific implementation activity, but can also help teams record the following: dates and frequency, who will monitor implementation, evidence of successful implementation, as well as progress or results to date. Once the improvement team has convened and agreed on a program or practice, the development of a professional learning plan and meaningful coaching opportunities is key to the effectiveness and sustainability of the implementation. First, let's take a closer look at professional learning. An effective professional learning plan should include information on what professional learning is needed, who will take the lead, where and when will the professional learning opportunity take place, how will the professional learning content be delivered, will opportunities for collaboration and components of adult learning theory be included, who will attend, and how will the professional learning be evaluated to determine if educators feel prepared and equipped for implementation. The California Quality Professional Learning Standards is a helpful tool to support professional learning planning and implementation. These standards were developed by the California Department of Education in partnership with a group of educators from across the state to identify characteristics of professional learning that are most likely to support educators in building individual and collective capacity to meet professional, school, and student performance expectations. More information about the California Quality Professional Learning Standards can be found using the web link on this slide. Coaching should be a component of any professional learning plan as it plays a key role in implementing innovations and sustaining change. At its best, coaching provides a process for teachers to reflect on their practice and to refine their instructional choices throughout each lesson. An effective coaching partnership should empower teachers while offering a constructivist approach to lesson planning and delivery. For more information on coaching, use the web link on this slide to visit the National Implementation Research Network's Active Implementation Hub for modules, lessons, and tools to guide educators through the coaching process. Reflecting on the implementation of the improvement plan involves tracking the progress and execution of the plan's goals according to predetermined timelines as documented in the launch phase. Typically, this includes talking with individuals engaged in the plan's implementation and reviewing the evidence collected to document the process. In addition to the members of the improvement team, it is helpful to identify any additional stakeholders who may study and analyze the results. Designating time to reflect on the implementation and effectiveness of the plan is an important part of determining whether a system change constitutes an improvement. Let's take a closer look at the reflect phase. Within the reflect phase, teams will examine data that indicates the degree to which the plan's goals and targets were met, obtaining information essential to the decision-making process. More specifically, teams are encouraged to review the evidence regarding the implementation of the plan at predetermined intervals determined by the implementation team during launch. Analyze student performance results at designated milestones, and include all appropriate stakeholders in the reflect phase to share their perspectives, experiences, and insights. Consider which staff, parents, or community members may contribute to this work. Create protocols to guide stakeholders through the process and establish a process to consider what has been working, what has not been working, and why. The following questions may guide discussions during the reflect phase. Is more information needed to reflect on the implementation and effectiveness of the plan? If so, what is needed? How will it be acquired? When and by who? If the actions were not implemented as planned, what were the causes? How can these be adjusted and overcome? Who should this information be shared with? Are there other stakeholders or administrative personnel who should be included in discussions? How has the plan impacted student achievement? Based on the available information, what should be stopped, started, or continued, and how? How will initiatives with positive results be replicated, shared, and incorporated into additional programs? This is not an exhaustive list. However, teams often find that structuring discussion based on these questions provide a strong foundation for examining outcomes of the improvement plan and guide next steps. As the improvement team meets to review the status of improvement activities, the adjust phase provides a roadmap for building capacity and sustaining improvement activities with proven results. As mentioned previously, it is essential to allow sufficient time for implementation before making decisions regarding continuing or discontinuing the activity. Discussions during the adjust phase include the following elements. Consider all evidence of improvement efforts and effectiveness. Discuss outcomes with all appropriate stakeholders. Consult with other experts as needed, and determine which actions will be continued, modified, or stopped. Similarly to the tool provided in the launch phase, the Sample Evaluating Implementation Activities tool on this slide provides a framework for guiding and documenting discussion during the adjust phase. For each implementation activity, This tool outlines the evidence collected, results, potential modifications, and a determination of whether or not the implementation should be completed. We have now reviewed the elements of each phase of the improvement process: prepare, launch, reflect, and adjust. This also completes the four-part web module series to accompany the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Handbook. For more information on any of the topics reviewed in this or any of the other three modules, please feel free to refer to the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Handbook attached to this web module. Thank you for viewing Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Module 4. This concludes our four-part series to accompany the Improving Performance of Students with Disabilities Handbook. As mentioned in the beginning of this module, a downloadable copy of the handbook and any additional resources are attached to this module for reference. Thank you for joining us for this module series.